Creating a safe and sacred container for myself in this space. Calling in my higher self to tame my ego's fears. Calling my inner child out of any box that she may have been put in with a label of sad, angry, uncomfortable. Releasing you from any label or box keeps you confined and trapped. You are free. I am free. I am free. Blocking all lower vibrational energies and entities from this safe and sacred container. Establishing a clear connection from my crown chakra up above the earth to the divine and throughout divinity. Calling in my higher self, commanding the egos to step aside and allow my higher self to guide me. Moving out of the head and into the heart space. Feeling my energy settling around my body, inside of my body. Transmuting any feelings of uncomfortable, any feelings of being uncomfortable, of being in my body. I am safe in my body. Breathing in love, breathing out fear. Breathing in love, breathing out fear. Establishing a clear connection from my root chakra to the crystalline core of Mother Earth, all the way to her fiery center. Feeling her energy rise through my root of my spine, the back of my neck, through my third eye and crown, shooting into the universe, this pillar of light that I am. Calling Christ consciousness, Master Jesus, into this space. Feeling the connection to all things God. Calling in my guides, my light family, and any other energy or entity of unconditional love that would like to serve me for my highest good in this space. Are welcome here. Thank you for being here with me. It's feeling very uncomfortable in my body today. And almost these feelings of like withdrawals, which is crazy, right? But like that's how it feels, and I know that feeling. Except, whoa, I never experienced much nausea when I was withdrawing. I just couldn't eat. But then again, I was very detached from the present moment, and I feel like that's why the energy is coming up now, because I'm very present with myself and with what I'm carrying and with what I'm feeling and with my body. I felt like I was feeling sick. and nauseous. Ugh, and just this really like uncomfortable feeling in my throat. It's almost like, what can I use? Like you're brushing your teeth, and if you like are brushing your tongue and you go too far back, it kind of just like, right? Like that's how it feels. Not like I'm actually going to throw up, but like that feeling of just like I hit the back of my throat and I'm like, ugh. That's how I feel. How this energy first presented itself today was I was in the car going to the store and I was driving, and I kept thinking about, like, I sent some voice messages to Nicole, and like I kept getting, it was like I wasn't accepting myself, and like I was rejecting myself before I gave Nicole the chance to reject me, which I know that she never would. But there was still this feeling of like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe it was stupid of me to say that. Maybe it was not funny for me to say that, even though I was joking. What if she didn't know I was joking? What if she takes it the wrong way? What if I'm misunderstood? I felt like this numb feeling go over me. Brooke, you don't have to be numb, baby. You're safe. You're safe to feel. Allow it to come up. I allow it. I'm present. I'm here with you. So that's how the energy first came up. And like I was just very afraid of not being accepted or being misunderstood or saying too much, or there was almost these thoughts of like, was I really myself, or was I trying to be who I thought she would accept me as? Yeah. Was I really being myself, or was I being the image of self that I believed she would accept me as? Was I being the version of myself that I felt she would embrace and accept? Was I being the version of myself that I thought, ego, that I thought would be good enough for her to love? That kind of hurts my feelings. I guess it's like abandoning self all over again. And then there's a story of like, just trust it, bro. Trust yourself. Like, it's okay. And even though that story feels better, I still like surrender that perception of myself because I know it's limiting to the truth. I surrender my mind's perception for what I am feeling. I surrender my mind's perception and narrative for this present moment. So this all kind of started last night, really. Like, we were watching 13 Reasons Why, and what triggered me was kind of weird. And I've grown to not really like that word, trigger, because when we hear trigger, the mind goes protect yourself, defend yourself, shield yourself. Triggers are bad. Triggers mean something bad. Triggers mean something you don't prefer. Triggers mean you should be scared. Triggers mean you're being judged. You should judge yourself before anyone judges you. Like, there's a lot of belief systems and a lot of energy around the word trigger, so I don't really care for that label. Because when I hear or say trigger, just in that word alone, trigger, it's like, for me, the way that I feel the word trigger is the same feeling as resistance. I don't know what else you would call it, but you know. And I could feel myself today, like really reaching outside of my body, and I'm like, where you going, girl? Like, I got you. I fucking got you. Oh, and I'm so sorry that I abandoned your feelings and emotions for so long, but I will not do that anymore. I'm present with you, Brooke. Sometimes I wonder, like, do I feel this withdrawal energy because I was never present in my body when I was in withdrawals in the past, you know? And is that why we carry our wounds? Do we carry our wounds and our trauma because when trauma happens to us, we leave our bodies because we want to detach from whatever is hurting us? Is that why we carry them? Because we were never present to begin with. And the only thing that exists is the present moment. And if you're not present with the present moment, then it gets stored in your body, or the emotions get stuck. Energy gets stuck within you until you're present with it, and then it begins to flow. Done a lot of purging recently, especially tied to my addiction, codependency, abandoning myself, sexual abuse. That's what's been coming up for me. And the purges are so surreal. I purged so hard the other night. I was listening to Polarities music. And the purge, which is really being present with all that you are, being present with the trauma, being present with the wounds, being present with the stories and the ideas. But the thing about presence, and when you are being present, the trauma, the ideas, the stories, the distortions, the narrative, it's like outside of you. It never was you, but because of the detachment to the stories, this is not what I am. This did not feel good to me. I never want to experience this again. And we detach, right? We're never present with it. We push it away. And when you become present with those things, you can actually see that it was never you to begin with. And it just reminds me of what, we call like a spiritual awakening. That's how it feels. When you become present, it's like you were half asleep and you just woke up and you're like, where the fuck have I been? I thought I was here the whole time, but I wasn't really here. I can see now. I can feel now. I can hear those ideas. I can see the distortions of energy. And like I remember the other night when I was purging, I was so vulnerable and present and intimate with myself and intimate with everything that was coming up. There was an idea in my head, a story that was telling me, and it was so powerful. It was telling me, don't talk about that. Don't speak about that. Don't use your voice. You're going to be misunderstood. No one's going to understand you if you talk about what you're feeling right now or what you're thinking right now. Like shutting me down. This story, this idea was shutting me down, that the story of I'm going to be misunderstood. And I was so present with that idea that it was like this life that I've been watching through what I thought was my eyes. I was watching from a filter or a distortion, and it wasn't actually who I was. So like I was so present with that idea that I saw it for what it was. And it was like I had been watching someone that wasn't even me live my life. That's how powerful the story was. And even in that moment of presence, it was like even in that moment of presence with that idea, damn, that shutting down energy just knocked me right out of what I was gonna say. And even now, like Danny's in the other room and there's that part of me that's like, don't let him hear you. What's he gonna think? Is he gonna judge you? Is he gonna understand, Brooke? Is he really gonna understand what you're feeling? You need validation that you're not crazy, or you're not weird, or that you're accepted, right? I can hear it. But I was so present with that idea that I was able, it's like here was me in my presence, right? Here's that idea. And that's what it looked like. It's like, here's me and here's the idea. The idea is not a part of me. It is here. It is a projection of a distortion of this energy. This is not my energy. This is my energy. This is my sovereignty. This is my truth. This is a story, an egoic pattern, an egoic behavior, an emotional behavior, a codependent behavior and thought and idea of this version that is not true, that the ego created to protect this person. But this person is protected. It doesn't need to be protected by a story that isn't true. Because in reality, that story that isn't true, that's the suffering. You know what I mean? And I remember when Spirit first told me, like, suffering is a choice. It's a choice when you're suffering. But sometimes we're so used to abandoning the moment and abandoning the present moment and not embracing the resistance, not embracing the uncomfortable feelings that, like, we can't make this separation. Okay? We can hear the story, but we believe it and we get sucked into the power of the thought of this story rather than surrendering the story, surrendering the mind's perception of this, surrendering the mind's perception, surrendering the narrative of this, and just being present with this. But we are sovereign and we have to make the choice to surrender this, to let it go. Even if we feel like we can't let it go, in a moment we can just say, I don't really feel ready to let this story go. I don't feel ready to let this insecurity go. But in this moment, I surrender my mind's perception. I embrace what I'm feeling. I surrender the narrative and I embrace the present moment. I surrender the story that tells me not to speak up, that tells me that I'm uncomfortable, that tells me I need to protect myself, that I need to abandon this situation, and I lean in. I lean into this. I lean into the things that make me feel uncomfortable so that I can see them. And then they are literally wiped from existence because they never existed before besides in the story in your head. Some deep shit. Okay. And I remember when I was purging the other night, like, first off, I just sat in front of the camera and I told my story. And it's funny. You know how we tell the stories of our life, right? And it's like when you're telling the story, you're bringing it into the light, right? You're taking it from this is who I am to this is the story about who I am. But it's not totality to who I am. It's just a story about who I am. It's one perspective of all of this. You know what I mean? And like I'm telling my story, and in the beginning, like I just fucking cried, man. I was listening to Nicole Paretti's music and I was just crying. And I had to put her music on because I felt so unsafe in my own body. Because there was a story, there was an experience of being an addict that always chose to run away, that always chose to abandon people, myself, situations, circumstances, pain. There was this story of the addict that always ran away, and my inner child, my essence, I'm going to use it as the inner child, but that's a little distorted, but you'll still understand what I'm saying. But like the inner child that hears that story that I'm always going to abandon her. She's not good enough. I don't accept her and how she's feeling. I don't accept her flaws. I don't accept her insecurities. I don't accept her, right? I'm not going to be there for her. Like that's what she hears, you know? And that's where that afraid feeling comes from. So it's like sometimes there's such a powerful narrative and idea of self. There's such a powerful idea of myself that it blocks my ability to connect to my heart. So sometimes we need to create a positive polarity to kind of neutralize the negative polarity of like, I'm not safe, I need to run, I need to abandon, right? We kind of need a positive story where it's like, baby Brooke, inner child, like I'm not going to leave you. I see you. I feel you. I'm present with you. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me for leaving you in the past. You know, sometimes we need that positive spin on it to kind of neutralize the energy because there's so much built up negativity and like negative energy that we have to add a little bit of positive energy to neutralize the energy to get into our heart space. However, sometimes you can do that, you need to do that, and sometimes even when you do that or if you do that or after you do that, you have to just surrender the story in general. You have to surrender the polarity because it's a polarity and it's not neutral, it's not heart space, it's not self, it's a story about self. So whether it's negative or positive, it's still a distortion of who you are, right? And I've been playing with that a little bit, like this whole positive polarity thing. I don't know that I've ever heard anyone talk about it the way that Spirit presents it to me. So like I kind of want to share that where it's like You know, you can go from, here's an example, you can go from, let's use abandonment, okay? We all got a little bit of that. You can go from like, he's gonna leave me, my twin said he never wants to talk to me again, like, am I not good enough? Did I not say the right thing? Should I have done this? Should I not have done that? Like that whole negative abandonment story, like I'm not good enough, he's gonna abandon me type shit. And then you take that negative polarity and you switch it to a positive polarity. It's the same fucking energy. It's just a different polarity of the energy. And the way Spirit explains it is like two different sides of the same coin. It's the same coin, it's just a different side of the coin, right? So we take that negative story about abandonment and we create a positive story. You know, I know that whoever is meant for me is destined for me and it will happen. I trust in the divine. You know, I trust that I'm worthy of love and I will receive love when the time is right, right? So then there's the positive story. But here's the thing about the positive story. When we're in the negative story, the thought of the negativity, the thought of the negative energy is so strong that we don't feel safe to feel why the negative story was created to begin with. So we switch to a positive polarity and we build that trust, kind of, right? We start to feel safe in that space. But the thing about the positive story is you never went and seen, like, here's the negative polarity. Even though you got a positive story, you never looked underneath what created this negative story to begin with. You just switched it to a positive polarity and that is still there, right? So how a positive story can be kind of like detrimental or very limiting to you is because you're still abandoning the fact that you're still not being present with what created the abandonment to begin with, right? So for some of you, you know, and for myself, it could be like sexual abuse. It could be vulnerability unheard. Like you were very vulnerable with people that you trusted and it went unheard. They didn't understand you. They couldn't connect to you emotionally, right? So then we create the positive polarity, but the positive polarity still limits us from being able to feel into ourselves and into the neutral space that we are, that is truth, the heart-based space, right? So at some point you have to surrender the stories to access the truth, to be present with the energy, because here's the energy of abandonment, here's the negative polarity, here's the positive polarity, right? Story of abandonment, positive and negative polarity. It's still detached from this, which is the abandonment, which is the trauma, which is the emotions, which is the feeling of what created these. So even if it's positive, it's still not this, is it? If it's negative, it's still not this. We have to surrender those stories and be present with all of ourselves, you know? And that's why I tell people, when you meet resistance, you're getting somewhere. What you're resistant to is letting go of the story. Just let go. Just surrender. Surrender your pain. Surrender your burdens. Surrender the suffering. That is your choice. If you are suffering, you can surrender right now. You know? And I feel like a lot of us, we feel like some things are out of our power. We don't have control over. The one thing that you always have power over is your own sovereignty and how you feel and how you process or how you are present with the circumstances in your life. If it's uncomfortable or overwhelming or angry or negative, do you abandon it? You know what I mean? If something really good is happening, do you create a story about how amazing this is, how awesome it is, instead of just being present with it? Do you create a story about it? Because that story takes you away from this. Here's the stories. Here's you. Here's presence. Here's the stories. You know? And sometimes when that stagnant energy starts to move, when you're breaking down the stories and you're getting to the foundation of the stories, when you're getting present with the feeling and present with the present moment that you abandoned to begin with, the energy starts to then move, right? You're breaking down the distortion, you're breaking down the story, the narrative, and you get very present with the energy that is there, the feeling that is there. And sometimes that can feel like it can feel overwhelming, and it can feel very like shattering in a way, because everything that you thought you were, your identity of who you are, dies in that moment, and you are just left with presence. And sometimes that's really scary, because we still, a part of how we functioned for so long is with an identity of what we are, who we are, never present with who we are, an identity of who we are, right? So when that identity shatters, it's almost like this scary feeling of, oh fuck, who am I? Or oh fuck, who have I been? Oh fuck, that was not me, And we feel like we have to right our wrongs. No, you don't. Just accept it. Accept it as it is, but you do not have to accept it as your truth moving forward, right? You do not have to identify with it anymore. Take responsibility. Sometimes we need to say sorry. Sometimes we need to forgive ourselves. Sometimes we need to forgive others and neutralize the energy and just have compassion for yourself and others. Honor yourself and others for the role that you played, right? There's so much power in acceptance, responsibility, compassion, surrendering, and gratitude. And like just honoring the role that you played, honoring the role that this person played, even if the role that they played hurt you. There's a story that says that this person fucking hurt you, but what if that person did you a favor and brought up what was already within you? You attracted it. That's where taking responsibility comes in, right? Maybe you are the creator of your reality, and sometimes that is very hard for us to accept. I wouldn't attract this. I would not put myself in these kind of situations. I would not make myself not have money. I would not fall in love with people that continue to break my heart. Yes, you would. Yes, you would, and yes, you did, and yes, you do. Right? And taking responsibility for that and neutralizing the energy. If we can take a trigger, right? If we can take a trigger and move it from a trigger to acceptance, to responsibility, to forgiveness, to compassion, and to gratitude, if we can go from trigger to gratitude, we clear a layer, we clear a distortion, we take the filter off, and we neutralize the energy, because it's no longer a story. When you start feeling into forgiveness, that's heart space, that's neutral energy. It's not a polarity, it's a neutral heart space energy. When you start honoring yourself and others for the things that your ego deemed evil or bad or negative or traumatic, and you honor it, that's not a story, it's neutral. It's both of the stories. It's accepting and embracing both of the stories, both of the roles, right? And neutralizing the energy so that you stop attracting bullshit. That's the thing. We're like, Spirit, I want to heal. I want to change. I want to shift things. I want to attract my love vibe tribe. I want to attract my soul family. I want to attract my twin flame. And then we're presented with these opportunities to change that fucking story. Yet we flip from a negative story to a positive story, to a negative story to a positive story, instead of releasing the stories and just neutralizing the energy within you so that you don't attract the same shit over and over again, right? How I like to remind myself of my power, how I like to remind myself of my ability to manifest, of my ability to be a creator, because that is what we are. We are creators. How I like to remind myself of my sovereignty and my capacity to create is I look at the world and all of the hate in the world, y'all, all of the racism, all of the sides, all of the, identities, and all of the judgment, all of the Republican and Democrat, right? All of the sides and all of the hate. All of the hate that we see in this world is hate on self. And that's a lot to take responsibility for, but it's you. It is a reflection of you. We are one, baby. And like, I'm sorry we didn't know that, but like, I can't say that I've met many people that would say I take full responsibility for all of that. But I do, because I am one with all. You know what I mean? In this moment, I might be experiencing myself as Brooke, but how do I say this? From this perspective of self, that's who I am. We are the universe experiencing itself. From this perspective of self, from Brooke's perspective of self, I might be experiencing my life. But on a deeper level, we have the ability to look and see the perspective through Danny's eyes, look and see the experience of self through my dog's eyes, through my friend's eyes, through my father's eyes, through my mother's eyes. Like, this is gonna be a little weird for some of y'all, but like, when you die, you get to watch your life review, and you get to watch yourself and what you experienced, right? Like, you get to look through your eyes and feel how you felt in every single moment. You get to look through your eyes and feel how you made other people feel through every single moment. And how could we feel how we made other people feel without going from their perspective, right? And like, that's one thing that I look forward to when I die, is like really being able to be with my life review and all of the things that I've experienced, because there have been some beautiful fucking moments. There have been some rough fucking moments that I'm just gonna have to like want to cover my eyes, but like, I'll watch it. I don't know. So humble and grateful, and let me tell y'all a matrix hack. If you are trying to manifest I say that like trying to manifest because it's already manifested. You just have to know and accept what's already there. But if you're trying to manifest, like, let's say peace with your trauma, or if you're trying to manifest a friend that you can count on, the first thing you have to do is shift it within you. If you want peace, you have to be peace, and then you see that reflected back to you, right? But like there's a matrix hacks, and it really reflects how much we are one. And I love it, and I love that Spirit, gave me this. But they told me, give what you want to receive. We've heard that before, right? But do we really understand the depths of what it actually means? And the way Spirit communicates it with me is like, if you are really sad one day, okay, and like you really wish that you could like laugh or like be happy or feel good, or have someone look out for you, have someone make you feel special when you're feeling kind of unworthy or whatever, go out into the world and fucking acknowledge someone, make someone laugh, tell someone, a stranger, like, wow, like you really caught my eye, like you are freaking beautiful, like your eyes are beautiful. And I know that might be weird, but like I had to tell you how beautiful you are. Like go and do that for someone else, and I promise you it will come back. That's the thing. So like, yes, there has to be an internal shift, but there is not it has to be done this way to shift it internally. Like it doesn't have to be done that way. We can go out into our physical reality. That is us, right? That's where we forget. We think we have to do everything internal. And yes, it is an internal journey. But at the same time, the outer world is a reflection of the inner world. So we can go out into the outer world, the 3D world, and we can shift things. That creates a shift within. We can go into our internal world and shift things. That creates an external shift outside, because we are all one. We are all different aspects of self. What you give to yourself, you will receive. What you give to others, you will receive, because it's you, right? I love that one. Hi, baby. What you do? I'm a baby right there. I'm a pretty kitty. First sit with mommy while mommy purges. That's what her do. Her don't judge. So pretty. I love you. I love you, figure. I'll be honest. I did not go into this expecting a video. I was just about to, talk to myself. But sometimes, like, especially as a light worker, I bet some of you are really familiar with this. We're like, we can be kind of having a shit day, and we can go and serve someone. If we do readings, we can serve them. If we do healing, we can serve them. Even in our family, we can go and do something for someone else and serve them, and then we start to feel better, right? You ever notice that? Because you're giving it to yourself, right? But since this did turn into kind of a video, I guess the thing that I want to leave you guys with is, no matter what is in front of you, no matter the story the ego tells you that's trying to protect you, so you need to like back off, or you need to be afraid, or you need to figure this out before you can do this, or embrace what is in front of you. Because when you are present with what is there, when you are present with self, when you are present with other people, when you are present in traumatic circumstances, you flow through it. It doesn't attach to your energy. There's no energetic cord established that keeps the energy in a loop, because you are present with it, and it doesn't stay stagnant in your body or in your energetic field. So that's the last thing I want to leave y'all with, is like, no matter what it looks like, no matter how scary your mind tells you it is, or no matter how good it is so your mind tells you to be scared, embrace it. Embrace the people that you love. Live your life really Like carpe diem, live your life like it was your last day. Stop holding back on things that you need to say to people because you're not ready or you're afraid or you got to get your words together to be able to tell them in the right way. Like, just do it. Tell people how you feel. Tell people how they make you feel. And it might blow shit up, but I promise you, if you are present and embracing life, embracing yourself, embracing the other aspects of you, nothing but harmony will come from that situation. Stop settling, you guys. Stop settling for your mind's story about everything rather than just being present and embracing and harnessing all the beautiful opportunities that are around you. If you meet resistance, you're getting somewhere. Lean in. Lean in, baby. Lean the fuck in. Okay? Okay, well, I'm gonna bounce now. I freaking love you guys. Thank y'all for being here for me. Thank you for showing up for yourselves and truly showing up for me. I love you. Empress of Duality.